The fall of 2020 is going to be one of the hardest semesters for my students. And it is perhaps going to be one of the hardest for all students around the world. We want to share our story to encourage each other. I'm the director of Morphing Lab. I joined Carnegie Mellon University 3 years ago as a junior faculty. Together with my students, we call ourselves morphers. We think we're design alchemists who can make matter dance. To us, materials are physical manifestations of digital information. They are also physical embodiment of artificial intelligence. We use shape memory plastic to design self-folding structures, learn from nature and design responsive plants, create art drawings that can become alive, grow and evolve robots with genetic algorithms, print breathing fabrics responding to our body, or cook pasta and see if it can morph in water. Because we work with physical materials, you would have always found us in labs. You will find us conducting printing experiments, operating a sewing machine, tailoring clothes, observing samples with different scientific equipments, or occasionally in a fashion show or photo studio. In that sense, we are all supermakers, and we are proud to be called a supermaker. I never imagined we will be forced away from our lab until COVID hits us. Last week, I went back on campus to pick up a power supply and realized my labs were so quiet. Our normal life, being able to stand side by side, working and chatting and laughing and inspiring each other, becomes a faded memory. And life like this will continue into the fall or maybe the next year. I was worried, and I'm still worried. However, this video is not made as a complaint or expression of panic. Our work and life as morphers have been going on for the past months indeed. Since the work from home order, many of my students have gone home in some states in the US, even in Asia, Europe, and Africa. But also many stayed. We kept going. If we promised to wear masks and work alone, we could even occasionally work on campus.
I am a computational designer. To me, morphing material is artificial nature.
I'm currently a PhD student in human-computer interaction. To me, morphing matter is a way of thinking about how to take some of the specialness of physicality, which is to say some of the ways that tangible stuff is so culturally, aesthetically, and physiologically meaningful to us as humans, and to blend it with the specialness of computational processes, which is the way that computation can make everything fungible, negotiable, remixable. The pandemic has disrupted some of my specific research, so for example, I did not have access to the Textiles Lab knitting machine that I use for a lot of my knitting-related research. But honestly, I think the pandemic has also really underscored the importance of the physical world and human relationships to the built environment, as well as all of the ways that people maintain connections and improve their surroundings in every way they can.
I am a material scientist. To me, morphing matter is nurtured. Nature has always been the source of our inspiration. For example, a pine cone can open up all the scales to disperse seeds. A dandelion can fly with the wind. And there are few species that are able to shoot out their seeds and even bury them underground, according to the weather condition. All these natural plant mechanisms are interesting and intriguing to me. So since I joined Morphing Lab 2 years ago, my team started to develop this technology to help plants grow better and thrive in different situations. Like, we can use this in a farm to help crops to grow, or use it to restore ecosystem after mountain fire. I usually conduct experiment that uses harsh chemicals in our professional wet lab. And suddenly we were told that we're going into self-quarantine for the foreseeable time. So I brought home some essential equipment and I converted part of my basement into a home lab. I share this household with 2 roommates. We have been utilizing the basement more often than ever since the lockdown. Gladly, there is enough space for all of us to put extra stuff, and it actually made the basement more organized than before. It is not easy to coordinate teamwork at this time, but we were able to manage that part well, while still complying strictly to social distancing rules. We wanted to verify that our technology can be carried everywhere, with aerial deployment, like a dandelion. So we started to learn how to fly a drone, how to equip it with a loading dock to carry our prototypes, and how to control the deployment. The pilot test gave us a chance to better evaluate the technology outside of our lab.
I am an industrial designer. To me, morphing matter is all about harnessing natural phenomenon and getting inspired from nature.
I am a computational designer. To me, morphing matter is aquatic. The ocean is such a splendid world with incredible beauty. Yet, the other side is its fragility.
I was deeply moved when I heard that due to global warming and ocean acidification, we have lost 50% of the world's coral reef cover in the past 30 years alone. So I started looking at what efforts are being made and think of how we can make a difference. This inspired us to take action. We envisioned an ocean garden composed of kirigami and branch-based structures which grow from a flat sheet and floating islands that attract fish and provide a temporary refuge for them. Since we are deploying these structures in the ocean, we have had to be very mindful of the fine balance in the ecosystem and make appropriate material and form choices.
Hydrogel is such a versatile material that could bring dramatic shape changes by absorbing water. And we are taking advantage of this aquatic power to achieve our own underwater actuators.
Before the pandemic, Kashin and I started to explore different hydrogel combinations, and we used to meet in the lab pretty often, work on experiments together, try out different geometries and morphing strategies.
Although the pandemic keeps us away from the lab, it did not stop our exploration and determination. I set up a fish tank at home and keep experimenting with different morphing structures. I've been always fascinated by the sophisticated composition of nature. There are so many different species of corals, and they are all in different shapes. As a computational designer, I'm trying to capture and replicate the beauty and diversity of nature with the generative design tool we developed.
For me, what makes it worthwhile doing this project is that one day and many iterations later, we will be able to deploy this in the ocean and help to revive corals.
I am an IT engineer at CMU. I love to combine technology with textiles in order to move clothing from its aesthetic function to a tool that can be used to solve human needs with the aid of technology. I see morphing matter as the intersection of these two viable tools. It gives me the avenue to identify the unexplored opportunities for technology in the field of apparels and clothing. I flew back home 3 weeks ago. After waiting for the next available flight since the past 2 months, I just couldn't wait to see my family and loved ones. Coming back home has provided an opportunity to validate our project in a new setting. Our project is to leverage on the feedbacks from the breast cancer survivors and to explore the inherent yarn properties to design a one-piece bra prosthetics that meets the needs and the expectations of the breast cancer survivors.
I'm a designer. To me, morphing matter is composed of single or simple materials combination, but it can be triggered by external stimuli to reach different states for different purposes. In a word, it's customizable. In our project, we aim to leverage the power of morphing matter to serve the community of breast cancer survivors. Now, I'm on my road trip driving to Atlanta from Pittsburgh. For the past few months, I've been working at Morphing Lab since March, when the pandemic just started. It's quite unfortunate that I never got a chance to work physically in the lab. However, it is because of this experience I realized that doing research can actually be anywhere, and it's even better if you could work with the right community, and to me, it's here.
I'm an architect engineer and a computational designer. To me, morphing matter is enhansive. You can design and fabricate active prosthetics that animate the body in a playful way, even augmented beyond human spectrum. Just imagine a self-actuated exoskeleton that could make a paralyzed body dance, or self-morphing tank tails participating in the underwater locomotion of an amputee. During the pandemic, the school facilities closed. I needed to conduct experiments to understand the mechanics of human body underwater and think of ways to boost it. But I had no easy access to swimming pool or sea while being in the US. Therefore, I decided to return back to Greece. I transferred my office to the safest place, by the sea. I used a set of exercises to understand the kinesthetics of swimming in my own body. Then I recorded other fully enabled bodies and also a good friend of mine while swimming both with and without her prosthesis.
I am a computer science student. To me, morphing matter is evolved. Most of the time I'm writing code. I always have a dream that is to simulate and evolve the world in the computer. But sometimes I also need to validate the result in the physical world. For that, I brought several small tools back to my home, like LUTspot 3D printer, Form Lab printer, vacuum pump, band saw, sanding machine, and a UV curing box. Sometimes they are quite noisy and power consuming, but I am getting used to live with them.
I work at the intersection of classical handcrafts and robotics. To me, morphing matter is about redefining the way we relate to material and craft. Over the summer, while in lockdown, I was working on a research project trying to integrate aerial robots with garments.
I am a mechanical and biomedical engineer. To me, morphing matter supports the human body.
I'm Fang. I am an electrical engineer. To me, morphing matter is self-healing.
I'm a product designer. To me, morphing matter is integrated.
I am a physicist and designer. Morphing matter is ethical.
I'm an industrial designer. I believe morphing matter is ecological.